everybody, and it is the Positively Awesome Wrestling Podcast. It is myself and Tidy back again with episode number Ocho. So we're on Chris Jericho's level at this point, the Ocho, and we had such a good time with him last week. He decided to come back this week. It is El Capitan. You may know him from the Captain's Table. You may also know him from the guy who's on Buddy Wars that is about to get slapped next week by yours truly. But that's next week. We're here tonight. Captain, how you doing tonight, sir?
I was going to say, you want to keep the show positive, and then you go and cut a promo on me. It's,
it's what I do, baby. Tomorrow. That's all I'm going to say.
I feel I've been catfished here. I've been brought in simply to be made fun of. No.
Yep, you're done. I'm kicking you now. Bye.
That was all I needed you for.
No, actually, I was, when you said, we're going to do the show tonight, I was actually relaxing in a nice hot bath, writing out, my 4 weeks of TV for Buddy Wars. And then I saw the Twitter. I was like, oh, well, I better get myself in gear. But yeah, I loved it last week, and it's a different spin than, the other shows I do. I don't have to, do the hair and put on the bandana and put on that heavy friggin' jacket. I just kind of get to relax and be myself because it's your show, not mine. So I'm just kind of here to do the stuff I enjoy as opposed to playing the captain character.
There you go. It's always better to just take a break and just enjoy the good shit. Tidy, how about you, sir? I told you we weren't doing this one week. I surprised you last minute. Sorry about that. I took away from the video game time. I'm glad you joined me though. How you doing, bud?
Good, man. Video games. I was playing some, but then we were like, hey, we're doing this. So I was like, let me rewatch a couple parts that I like, get in some notes, because I'm never not going to take some notes.
Yeah.
Try to come up with a great question for you, but it's all Bray related. And any good question I have for Bray is going to end up good no matter what, because Bray is his own topic, man.
I'm also jealous of that.
Good.
That's my favorite video game franchise. I play it religiously every single year. I actually was playing that this afternoon in between the weekly pods.
The baseball. My goodness. Before we get started, let's get some cat. We say looking good. Of course, I'm looking good, babe. Thank you very much. You look well.
Hello, Amanda.
Hello to Tidy and Cat. Well. Let's get David. He said he's got a positivity list, and I was very excited to see what this positivity list was about to be. So let's go run it down real quick. Triple Mania last night being very good. I will be checking this tomorrow. I wanted to do it tonight, but we're doing the show now, so I didn't have time to do it tonight. I will be doing it tomorrow because Ray Phoenix is awesome. And I saw like a clip. I don't know if y'all saw the clip of Penta holding the mask. It looked straight out of Mortal Kombat. It looked sick. His face was a bloody mess. The part of the mask was ripped off, and he was holding the mask of the person he just beat. It is so sick. I'm not a Penta fan at all, but I'm watching it because I gotta see how we got to that part, because it is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. The entrance of John Morrison was amazing. Ty Valkyrie, Camille killed it in their match. Orange Cassidy on his first AEW belt. Thank you very much. Pocket's getting his just due. Absolutely. I saw people hating on that. Love it.
I don't dislike Pockets. I like a lot of people just absolutely hate his guts. I don't like. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't pay tickets to see him, but he's like a step above Danhausen from he can work a good match. I mean, obviously his matches with Pac have been good.
We hating on Danhausen here. What?
No, not hating on Danhausen.
Okay.
No, I love me some Danhausen.
Just making sure.
No, I'm saying like in terms of just in-ring work, like Danhausen, that guy can come to dinner every night if he wants to.
All right. So let's see. But Orange Cassidy, I was not on board with him. When I first saw him, I was like, this guy has something. Then the shtick got old to me. But now I'm slowly kind of coming around to it, being like, oh, okay, I get it. He's phenomenal in the ring. I love him. His match with Will Ospreay was phenomenal this year, or earlier this year. I'm tripping over words already. That's not good. Dalton Castle, who is awesome.
I did not know who Dalton Castle was before 24 hours ago.
Me either.
And now I absolutely love me some Dalton Castle. I think he and Jericho is going to be.
I wish it was a program and not just like some one-off match on Dynamite, because I've seen Dalton Castle a few times over the past year and a half, I think. The Christmas. He's my kind of character, 100% through and through.
Oh yes, I can see why you.
I think as soon as someone knows who I am, they're probably like, "You probably like Dalton Cat." Yes, I think he's fantastic. Bray Wyatt.
I like guys that can work, talk, or do one or the other really good. If you can't at least do one or the other good, I'm going to hate you. But if you can do one or the other, I'm going to like you. If you can do both, I'm probably going to really love you.
We got Bray Wyatt being back, which is why we're here at the show tonight. It's got Phoenix and Penta and Vikingo bringing the house down. Rey Mysterio appearing via. That's interesting, the Rey Mysterio appearing video. We might touch on that a little bit too, because that's interesting to me, because there's other aspects involved with that. So we might touch on that a little bit as well, depending on time. FTR Aussie Open, watching that for sure after the show. I've been waiting to watch FTR Aussie Open. Getting the time needed with Mom Pass and Sleepy Dad. Congrats, Sean. Okay, Sean Spears. Okay, yeah. The guy who blocked me on Twitter, and I still don't have a freaking clue why. No clue. I've never said an unkind word about the guy. I'm not a fan, but I just don't get it. I don't know why, but it is what it is.
I took some lickings on Twitter today over a comment I made about AEW not knowing what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, you're always going to get some comments.
And I knew if I even responded, it was just going to turn into a pissing contest, and I'm not into that. But to whoever you are, if you're watching, yeah, they're drawing $1 million gates. They're doing so good. Yeah, what's the common denominator there in those $2 million gates? CM Punk. Remove CM Punk from that, they ain't drawing $1 million gates. So thank you.
Dalton, he's the one that took the Ring of Honor title off of Cody back in the day. And you'll be happy to know a continuation from the captain's table yesterday when we had a spam bot. The spam bot is back there now on my YouTube channel. In case you want to know who it is, it's SexFind Pro. I'm not looking for it, so I'm not going to put you on my chat, on my channel. You blocked, son. Go on somewhere else with it. But now that is officially over with, we've gotten to the comments.
I'm Siegel. Maybe I can find some sex there.
SexFind Pro. I don't know if that's the website, but that's what they're coming at me with. But we're here to talk about the man of the hour, whatever this show might end up being. And I'm going to surprise you with my take, but it is about this man. The return of Bray Wyatt. Everybody's talking about it. It should be no surprise that we're going to talk about it. I love him to death. Cap loves him to death. I'm pretty sure Tidy loves him.
Yep.
So we're all excited to see him back. But
oh boy,
I'm not going to shit on anything. I refuse to shit on Bray Wyatt. I just can't do it. He's too fantastic. But I do have a take here. Now, I've been accused of being the kind of guy who watches something and says, how can I look at this and it be good? How can this be spun into something that is enjoyable so I'm not miserable watching it? And I'm watching this Bray thing. I'm very excited he's back. I just looked when he got released last year. I literally wrote an article about it, about how just upset and sad I was about the whole shit. I missed Bray Wyatt 100%. The teases started coming. I'm like, when I literally had just finished, I'm like, I'm not buying any Bray Wyatt teases until I see him on the screen. And then those vignette, the little QR code stuff starts happening. I'm like, yo, this is Bray Wyatt. I gave up. I threw that out the window right out the gate. I've been going down the rabbit hole the entire time. I'm excited to see him back. He came out on Extreme Rules. I popped. He came out on SmackDown. I popped again. I love Bray. If I sat there and wore his mask for 2 hours on a podcast 2 weeks ago, if you want to question my love for the man, it was not comfortable, but I did it for Bray. So he's doing his promo. It's a little bit, it's reality, but it's also he's working us a little bit with his promo on SmackDown. It's a love letter that came from his heart. It's true. And then at the end, we get the mask come up. And just before I go any further, how do you take what's happening with Bray Wyatt, Tidy? What do you, because again, it was a heartfelt promo he gave us. It was very real. And then to have the mask come in and kind of just be like, it's a work right here. How did you take that whole? What do you think is happening? I guess that's what I'm trying to make it easy. What do you think is happening here?
Well, I mean, I enjoyed the promo. because he says, like, I haven't shown anybody this face before. As we know, the Wyatt Six people keep talking about as different personalities. But hey, this is a face I haven't got to show. It's just me talking about me and being honest. I teared up. I mean,
Yeah.
Some things hit
Ditto.
home. I mean, talk about a babyface promo, but then it's like, it's Bray. What would I do just to hear him talk as a regular person? and he did and blew me away. It was like, he starts off with, I'm really nervous to be here. And I'm like, you're nervous? You're Bray Wyatt. You's a talker, man.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's because he's being vulnerable. And he says that. He uses that word in his speech. He said, I lost a lot of things. My career, self-confidence. I lost people that were close to me. I can relate. So he's already tugging at me, period. People were saying, hey, thank you, Bray. Hey, when you coming home? It hits me again because I was saying it. We were all saying it. You know, he's only the greatest thing since John Cena, if not way beyond when it comes to character. And I mean, if he was doing all this stuff back then with Vince in his ear, imagine what he can do without Vince in his ear.
Yeah.
So that already puts him in a different universe. And then he goes, I was in a time of need and I lost people that were close to me. I felt weak and I felt vulnerable. And that's kind of like, and then he says, someone says, hey, you're important to me. I mean, as a human being, you can relate to that. I mean,
yes,
I felt very vulnerable in my life, or I felt weak. The big thing that stuck out with me was like, nothing I ever did has mattered to anyone. You take that when you talk about loss. You take that when someone really gets down on themselves. Anybody can have, like they say, that dark voice in their head.
Yeah.
And everything just went wrong when he was supposedly on top of the world and could have went further. Like, how does that even happen to Bray Wyatt? So it was believable to me. It was just him talking. And as soon as I relate, it's over. So how did I take it all with, and then the face showing up at the end?
When we get this face right here popping up.
As soon as that face pops up and says, I feel like the face is like this thing. It's the dark voice in his head that says, hey, life is over. Breathe your last. You have no idea what you're dealing with, you know, but you will. Oh, you will. I think that's more of that dark voice popping back up. He's all vulnerable. He's out there. He's like, I'm nervous. He's letting his heart out. And then here comes that dark voice. And it looks almost demonic and otherworldly. Like he's dealing with some demons and some real shit. So for me, that just catapulted even more his speech, because now I'm going to get a crazy storyline with supposedly his alter ego, which I think it is. Yeah. Or just a dark voice.
So before I swing it over to Captain, put this up here real quick. Friday was a mix of reality and work, and given the history of what took place, I was 100% fine with that. Absolutely. Now, did you notice the stuttering going on?
Yeah. Yeah, so immediately. Yep.
I took the stuttering after the fact, because during the initial promo, I'm like, okay, this is just him speaking to us. But then again, once that face popped up on the Tron, the mask and all, I was like, okay. Whereas it was him speaking to us, it's part of the gimmick that he's presenting to us. And since I think what he did, what I'm thinking has happened, because as soon as he changed his name to Wyatt Six and the speculation started, I came out, was like, I think we're getting a personality disorder kind of back and forth type situation. That's what I've thought since he did that we were going to be getting. And it seems like that's what we are getting. And that masked figure is the, like you said, the dark side of him, that voice that we all try to push down. We don't want to listen to that voice because it's a very dangerous place to go to. And I think that masked version is that. And the stuttering kind of just helps you sympathize. Like, this is a very weak, like, and I don't mean to say this in a terrible way, but like, he comes across a little bit weaker because he's just like a scared little boy.
Vulnerable.
This is what happened, and he's just not sure of himself. He's lost confidence. And I think this is all just a play on what's happened. Like, because he thought he had everything and he lost it all. It's a fall from grace. And the rumors and speculation was he needed time off because his mental health was in a terrible place due to Luke Harper or Brody Lee, whichever one you will call him, of his passing. And again, I think you hit it on the head when you said that this face. We got to come up with a name for it. What is it? Uncle Howdy? Uncle Howdy. I think that's what we guys referred to earlier. When Uncle Howdy comes up, it's like, okay, he's going to be battling himself. Now, before I get into my take, Cap, what's your thoughts on this whole character arc that we may begin? We might be completely off, though. He might just completely pull the rug out under us and just surprise us. But
we've seen one promo from the man. I will say that point that David made of it being, mix of reality and work. What is one of those great things we love in wrestling when the lines get blurred?
Yeah.
Where there's just when you can that suspension of disbelief. You're like, I know this is a work, but some of this is a shoot. Those are your great performers.
Yeah.
And there's also, we talk about works, we talk about shoots. There's also a thing called a worked shoot, where you take
something
a real life story, the Montreal Screwjob, which was a real life story that was going on behind the stage.
Maybe.
Okay, conspiracy man, we'll get to you later.
But
you take something that's really happening in real life, but you do a work shoot angle on it where part of it's work, part of it's shoot. And that's why Bray is so awesome, because if there's anybody in the business other than maybe MJF that could pull off what Bray can do with blurring those lines, and because what he was talking about, he has gone through some bad times, but he's back now. But there's this other voice. So he's going to be blending reality and fiction quite a bit there. And to Tidy's point, I was actually writing this down. I have never been so excited for someone to be working in professional wrestling sans Vince McMahon since Jon Moxley left and went to AEW. I hope I do not regret saying Bray Wyatt sans Vince McMahon could be the best thing since sliced bread. I hope I'm not wrong twice, because the last time I thought that, I wound up hating a guy within a couple of years who I genuinely loved. It's like, oh, wow, he's away from Vince now. This is going to be fun. Oh, my God, that's why Vince was not letting him do this.
Jon Mox is awesome. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what he's talking about, people with Jon Mox. But now, so
he's not up there with Kenny and the Buckaroos, but he's definitely on my
I want y'all to listen to what I'm about to say, and I want you to tell me if you think I have, I guess, just reason to walk into this storyline we're about to get, like, it's justified. Okay, so again, I love Bray Wyatt, love him to death. I don't think there's ever been a person in wrestling that demands so much of my attention when he's on screen. That's not to say he's my favorite, but whenever he's on screen, there's so much that could be happening. There's so many little Easter eggs we could be seeing that could just open the door to so many other things. I have to just put everything down and be like, what is going on? I think he just has that aura to him where I'm just like, I'm fixated. What is Bray Wyatt doing right now? And I'm watching this unfold, and I think I've pinpointed what kind of gimmick we're getting. My problem here is that I don't see how this character is going to work in a wrestling universe. Because if he's battling himself, where's the room for the wrestling aspect of it? Because we're always told, take care of your mental health first. That's number one in everything. So why would he be in this with this platform, in this workplace? Because that's what it would be to him if he's battling these demons that are just trying to drag him down. And again, my ability to kind of look at things and be like, how can we spin this into a positive? How can I look forward to something here? And I'm not always right. I know this. I'm going to go ahead and take my little arrogance hat off real quick. I know I'm not always right, but I don't ruin it with expectations. Whatever they give me, if it's good, I accept it. I don't see any way this character can work in the wrestling universe without it being, I don't know. This is the first time I've been presented with a character, and we don't have a storyline at this point, where I just don't know what they're doing with it. And that could be a very good thing. It could be a fantastic thing. It can also be a
to the point that Nick made,
very bad thing.
We saw Mankind, Dude Love, Cactus Jack, him being able to work between those three. We also saw eras with Ric Flair where he had the full blonde hair. He was the NWA champion. Then he cut the hair. Then he turned into Psycho Nate. So we've seen this kind of happen before. It can be done. I get your point, but it can be done.
It's not that it's multiple characters. My thing is that the character, I just don't, the main part of the character, and again, I could be completely wrong. Character might not be anything like what we're thinking it is. But if it is what we're thinking it is, based on what we've seen so far, I don't see how this character fits in to a wrestling universe. Like the Mankind one, I got. The Dude Love one, for sure. Cactus Jack, absolutely. The Ric Flair stuff, it was all about him being the best, the greatest. He's wheeling and dealing, son of a gun. He's got to prove himself. I don't see how a person who's being tortured by his inner demons in this way, because it's almost like a mental health kind of thing. I don't see how it fits.
I don't know either, but if anyone can do it, it's Bray.
Yeah,
I think it's more of like it's those words that got to me when he said, "Nothing I ever did has mattered to anyone." He didn't say matter to me, or he didn't say nothing ever did mattered. It's more of him like you go through a loss and you start getting really down on yourself, or say you're not going through a loss, you want to be able to help somebody, you financially can't. So you have a kid, a nephew, and it's like nothing I do really even matters. I don't have the power to help buy them a car or take them out of this. I can't take someone's loss away. They lost their mother, etc. And it makes you feel powerless. Like, why do I dream and why do I want these things? I can do nothing about it.
Yeah,
it's not
very
right.
It's a very relatable thing.
Yeah, and that's what I think he's dealing with, is that he's lost important people and he can't, and he's beat himself up. And this other character, when the mask has developed, you can say Mankind did it, whatever. I think Bray's gonna blow it out of the water. It's when that mask shows up and he says, "Hey," he's talking about, "Hey, thank you everybody, and I'm back, and I'm nervous and all this stuff because I just been getting my head beaten by this guy in the mask. So I'm going to talk to you." And then he says, the mask shows up and says, "Life is over. There's no past or future." He's reminding at the present time, you are nothing and you have no power. And that's what I think it's going with. How can it fit in the wrestling universe? Yeah, I can see like, how's he going to have a matchup with somebody? Maybe that's maybe this is the extra caveat we get.
I'm going to go ahead and build off what you just said, because it kind of this is why we have the discussions, because I'm able to kind of build off of things from you guys. So, is it possible that if this is the like, man, 2 weeks from now he might again just blow us, and it's like it has nothing to do with whatever we're talking about. But if what we're saying is true, do you see a situation where the Uncle Howdy, again, that's the evil inside him, that the bad voice, whatever we'll call it, starts pulling the strings? Hey, if you don't want this to happen, you need to accomplish this. Something like that, where he's pulling the strings and kind of driving the vehicle through Bray Wyatt. And we'll never truly get the Uncle Howdy character like in reality. It's just always going to be like a video on the Tron, something like that. And Bray is what we're going to get, but we're hearing his inner demons speak to us through that character. Do you think that's a possibility based on what you basically just kind of said and kind of helped pop that in my head?
I think so. I think you can definitely use that as something but the question is, then if Bray's in the present and this guy is reminding him that he's nothing and powerless when Bray hit that dark place, then how has he coped and how has he been mentally stable to get here? So then as he goes through a SmackDown or Raw, whatever it is, and maybe we see glimpses of Bray learning how to cope, and that's part of the story, is like, how did he learn to be okay? And what the hell does he do when this mask shows up? I think that's the thing that he has to overcome.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be also a love letter of how he felt while he's been gone.
Yeah.
Of like, dude, I went through some shit.
Okay,
You know?
so this right here, they swing this over to you in a second, Cap. The people they bring in this group are going to be instrumental in this working. Vincent from Impact could be an unsung hero if they have him. I like Vincent. I haven't seen too much of him, but from what I have, I do like him. After what we saw on Friday, Cap, do you still think there's a possibility that we are getting a Wyatt 6 stable, or is the Wyatt 6 referencing something deeper, a la the personality things that I was discussing a few weeks ago?
It's a little early to speculate. Again, we've seen one promo from this.
But that's why we're here, baby.
Oh, I know.
I'm all for it. Bring the Wyatt 6. Bring the physical bodies. I'm for either. I don't care. I mean,
well, also, if we're not mistaken, we're up to 6 personalities now: Cult Leader, Fiend, Rabbit,
Harris,
Buzzard.
Oh wait, we're not
Abby the Witch,
yeah.
And now
the White Rabbit
himself, or Uncle Howdy, whichever one you want.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be a stable or if we're talking about the 6 personalities we've seen. A psychiatrist could have a field day with this booking. I would rather at this point see him work more by himself and then slowly add a group together, not just hot shot it.
Yeah.
But one thing I didn't get to put out on the pod today was that I hope for her sake they get Alexa Bliss back with Bray, because she needs a bump big time.
It's too much old story to incorporate what he's doing now.
I don't think Bray's the kind of guy who I know he's using characters from his past, but I think it's to help kind of engineer, like tell the story he's wanting to tell now. I don't think he's the kind of guy who's going to go back and be like, all right, Alexa Bliss, I worked with her before, I want to bring her back. I think he's the kind of guy who's going to move forward. And that's why.
And he may very well do that.
It's always like he completely does an overhaul his character, like from top to bottom. Everything is different about him, like when he comes back. So
the one thing about this that David actually just made a good point. You know, they cannot hot shot this in any way.
Oh, it
and
won't.
They have got to let this thing. And I can be impatient. I don't like hot shotting, but I also don't like storytelling where it's just being dragged out like blood in a syringe, like Loomis and Miz, right? You know, that angle, I loved it so much the first few weeks, but they've drug it out so far that now I'm just like, okay, whatever. You've lost me here. But with Bray, it has to be long term, and as long whether it's a thick book or a thin book, as long as it moves along, then I'm fine with it. But if Bray did not bring Alexa back into the fold, I'm totally fine with that. And I don't know who he's going to work with. We think we know everything when in reality we know nothing right now, literally.
No.
So
I'm only taking what he showed me.
And to again David's point that his in-ring work is not that great. Okay. Yes,
I definitely want to touch on this.
He's not a great mat tactician, but I've always enjoyed his matches because when I see him, I'm not watching for Luthez, Dean Malenko catch can, technical wrestling. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking, okay, you're a little limited, but just tell me a good story here. And I've never disliked his matches for the most part. Mick Foley was not the type to grab a headlock and then, hip toss, scissor lock, Russian leg sweep. He wasn't Bret Hart, but Foley could tell a story in the ring. As long as Bray can do that, I'll cut him some slack for his lack of in-ring work with what you get. It more than makes up for it, in my opinion.
Here's what I say about Bray Wyatt's in-ring work. In a world where most of what we see is kind of like nonstop action, that's kind of been what's taken over this new wrestling era. Yeah. So that's kind of what we see a lot of. He's not that guy. He's the kind of guy who's going to slowly, methodically just wear you down. He's bigger than most people. He's stronger than most people, and he's just using that to his advantage. And he's always kind of playing this character that likes to play with his. He likes Predator playing with his prey. Like, okay, it's like little cat and mouse. Okay, I know I'm gonna hurt you, but this is too much fun to end it right now. That's how I've always kind of taken his in-ring work. And
I never thought about it that way, but that's perfect. That's spot on.
I'm not going to sit there and pretend if he was to go to the Tokyo Dome with Kenny Omega and put on a 5-star classic for Dave Meltzer. That would never happen. Would never happen. I know this 100%. I just think he presents a different style than what we're used to seeing now. I think it's a style that fits in the 90s perfectly. Maybe a little bit into the early 2000s. I didn't watch.
I would say his work fits perfect in the 70s. Look at guys like how Terry and Dory Jr. or Jack Briscoe worked back in the 70s. It's
kind of similar to the whole Karrion Kross thing as well, where it's not a style we're used to seeing because it's not used as much anymore. It's not a bad style. It's just it's not what most fans want to see these days. And I'm never gonna get into an argument where I'm like, no, Bray can wrestle his ass off. No, he can't. But he knows his strengths and he utilizes them so fucking well, so well. And like you talked about the story. He tells a story, and there's nobody in wrestling right now better at telling stories, in my opinion, than Bray Wyatt.
Well, that was the point we made yesterday during the Cactus Jack Sting match we were watching. Foley knew his strengths. He knew his weaknesses. And every great wrestler has their strengths and weaknesses. And what did the great ones do? They doubled down on their strengths and they try to stay as far away from their weaknesses as they possibly can. That's not brain surgery here. That's good advice in life. If you're not so good at math, maybe you shouldn't try to be working for NASA.
Yeah. and this right here, I agree with this 100%. It's more story. His opponents have to be chosen very carefully. I don't need to see a match between Bray Wyatt and Chad Gable. That it doesn't fit, doesn't make sense. Don't do it. But give me Bray Wyatt versus Karrion Kross. I think it would be magical. Give me Bray Wyatt versus literally any of the guys who exude charisma and have a lot of fucking character. And you're going to have something. Because that's all you really need with Bray Wyatt. He just has to have a character that he can latch onto and just work his magic. Get his little fingerprints on there. And his buddy who writes for Marvel horror stuff. Let them get their fingerprints on there and give us a great story. Man, yeah. Tidy, do you have anything to add to that?
What, about the in-ring work?
Like you've been patiently waiting, man. My bad. But
about in-ring work, I always liked the way he worked in the ring. I mean, I've never looked at it, and this is more than when I was trying to break down, like he was saying, catch is catch wrestling and all this other stuff, mat wrestling and super cool ass moves like Johnny Gargano or Chad Gable. You know, I now I kind of look a bit more for that stuff in a sense, but I've never watched it and been like, man, this is a boring match ever. Yeah. I loved it. I love that he was in there. You mean, what better than having a real character in that ring doing good work? And that's the way I've always seen it. Shit, great.
Yeah, very, very spot on, David. Well, and something even I was going to say.
Brody references in.
Well, I mentioned guys in the 70s, guys like Dory and Terry, Jack Briscoe, but I'll throw another one out there. You go back and watch his matches, a guy who was not that great of a technical worker, but my God, did he have the people in the palm of his hand? Jerry Lawler. Go back and watch those matches in Memphis, like him and Terry Funk. There was hardly any, work, mat wrestling going on there, but
he knew what he was doing.
Yeah. And that's all you really, I'm a sucker for the Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, guys that can just wrestle and have a great match. The Kurt Angles, I get off on that. That stuff's awesome. But I'm not blind and oblivious to, not everybody can work like Bret Hart.
No.
Those guys are few and far between. Most everybody is going to be a few levels down from that. And if everything else, I'm fine with it. You don't have to be, Bret and Sean's 60-minute Iron Man.
You want to know what's even harder than doing what you just said? Actually having a character that makes me cry when I watch SmackDown.
Yeah.
Actually having someone I look forward to. But people that was interesting with Alexa, that was interesting with anybody. That man.
Those are the things that brought me to wrestling.
This is like, here's a 5-star wrestler. He's already a 5-star wrestler. And he is a wrestler. I don't care what anybody says.
And you can also have 5-star mat wrestlers that can't cut a promo for beans.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at.
And those guys are boring. Who?
Ricochet.
I was gonna say the same
Cesaro.
thing, but I still really like him because he.
No, I like them for what they are. I definitely like them for what they are. That's not me crapping on them. There's very few people you're gonna hear me be like, yo, I just do not like those people. It's very rare. Young Bucks, you're it. Charlotte Flair, maybe, but it's more because of her. Because of her attitude. But other than those three, you will not hear me really talking bad about any wrestler. I know their places, and when they know their places, it makes it so much better. And I think Ricochet understands his place. He's not the kind of guy who's gonna be in WWE. Somewhere else he probably could, but he's not gonna be main eventing in WWE. He knows that. He does what he can do. He could probably be utilized a little bit better, but it all boils down to character first. And I guess that's why I'm so just like enamored by Bray, because there's never been someone who, again, in my opinion, does character work at the level he does it. It's just unreal. And it's why they were going to make a movie based on characters of his, because you can. There's so much depth.
And let's not forget, even great guys like who were great characters, Taker, Mick Foley, guys like that, their first 6-7 years in the business, they didn't look too good. Mark Calloway, The Undertaker, you watch him in Memphis and those early WCW days, he's greener than grass.
I'll say this about his early days.
Bray's still young enough he can learn.
I think Mark was good in his early days. I think he was wrestling the wrong style, and that's what the problem was. And this is where I give someone like Vince credit, because Vince says, slow your ass down. You're a big guy. Hurt these people. Don't be doing that other nonsense, because it doesn't work for your character. Undertaker did it, and off to the races he goes. That way, later in his career, when he actually starts doing it, it's like, oh, shit, this is wild.
And also the fact that when he was brought into WCW, he was being paired with guys like Danny Spivey and Sid Vicious.
While there was always very basic, but when he did work, especially in Memphis, I like Roman too. He's not great in the ring, but he does a few basic things very well and knows exactly that. And 100% about Roman. I don't think Roman is great in the ring at all. He has like 3 freaking moves.
Yeah.
But man, can that dude tell a story in the ring. It's night and day different. He couldn't do it before, but when he came back with that heel turn, switch just flipped in him. He's like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do.
And that's what turned me to. I stopped hating him and I started. He gets it now.
Yes, it's beautiful. And
let's not forget another guy that only had about a half dozen moves that could tell a great story in the ring. Hogan, god awful wrestler, but man, could he work a crowd, tell a story.
And people can hate me for this all they want. He's the smartest wrestler that's ever been in the business.
And this is what I want to. What's not. Well, people say, hey,
I'll put him up there, but I could throw 2 or 3 guys. That's a good point for later. Go ahead, Tidy.
People say if you go back and you watch Hulk Hogan today and you're used to wrestling today, you wouldn't like him. But the point you guys just made is that Roman's been doing it. Like, he doesn't have a ton of moves. I mean, he's way better than Hulk, but whatever.
Wait, what?
Who's better than Hulk Hogan?
Roman's better than Hulk Hogan.
I know you missed the NWO.
I'll let you continue. I'll let you continue, Tidy. I'll let you continue.
No, I'm saying like his wrestling moves, like in the ring. I actually like them. Yeah, it's a couple, and it's only a couple.
No, he does them good, except for that Superman punch. That shit's got to go.
Yeah, I know. That shit's got to go. But it makes the kids happy, man. It sells gloves. It makes the kids happy. I mean, I see why they keep doing it.
You're right. You got me on that Lily doll. You switched it up on me. You got me. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I'll just say, like, if Roman can do this stuff and people say, well, you can't go back and watch some of these older guys when that worked, and who had a great character, but people like Roman are doing it, so you can get it done. Hulk Hogan would he be able to do it today? Was NWO? Yeah. I like this NWO stuff.
As much as I don't like Hulk Hogan, I don't like Hulk Hogan the person. I never liked that red and yellow nonsense. Hollywood Hogan, greatest heel of all time. Argue with the wall if you disagree. But I don't like him, but the way he worked and his mind for the business, I don't care which area you put him in, he's gonna work. That's just again, you look at how over Bray is right now. It's because of he does character work really well, which Hogan did very well. And he knows how to he has the world in the palm of his hands, which Hogan is the master at that. So
I'll throw three names out there that I would put as being smarter than Hogan, strictly wrestling psychology, business wise. Jake Roberts, Dusty Rhodes, Bobby Heenan.
Okay, for the psychology and work aspect, yes, I'm talking strictly from a business standpoint.
Oh, okay.
Nobody took fewer bumps, lasted as long as Hulk Hogan did. Nobody, made the amount of money Hulk Hogan did.
Well, I wouldn't say business. I would say politician wise. Hogan's the best politician in the history of the business.
Well, I guess he was a good politician, but he's not the kind of politician I want to get behind, and that's probably why I didn't like him.
That just doesn't work for you, brother.
Does not work for me, brother. Heel persona hides a lot of what Roman can't do. Best thing, yeah, absolutely. Again, right on the head. I agree with that 100%. We've kind of spiraled away from Bray. That's fine though.
Well, we gave him half an hour. I mean,
yeah, we did. He deserves more. He deserves everything. Yeah. He's the fucking man.
Tidy, you had some questions.
Do you have anything, Tidy? I know Cap said he had something.
It was gonna again. That's kind of far away from the Bray subject.
We're good at this point. Just so everybody knows, if you're still watching at this point, we were completely unprepared. This is my fault. I told him there was no show, and then an hour before the show, I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be back in time. Y'all want to do the show?" So nobody's prepared. It's completely on me.
We're calling this one in the ring.
It's just all over. I'm not the person that can make it look so cohesive. It is what it is. We're just gonna jump to another subject. Pulling the rabbit out the hat. There you go. I just connected the dots for us right there. We're good to go. What you got?
It was more of a general. It was more of a general question of like, I hear everybody who analyzes whether it's wrestling, and then and me being a fan, I look at it in a different way of the entertainment that I'm getting. Do I have people to root for? I love a really good heel. I love someone to beat, like in any movie. But then I hear people say some things like, I think Wrestle Buddy went over on the weekly thing, and they were giving Captain some guff. It was like, but for business purposes, it brings eyes to the people that are waiting for the main event. They can see the talent that are getting up to the main event.
Oh, the geriatric X.
Yeah, I mean the business side of it, does it ever because I know you guys are really analytical. Does it ever wear on you when you're watching wrestling? You're like, as a fan, I don't really want to see this happen, but for the business, I get it. And there's a lot of
every show.
Part of it,
I see it a lot.
I haven't sat and enjoyed a wrestling show since like 1999. Once I got smart to the business, I can't sit and enjoy it. I'm constantly analyzing. Then I have to pull a Jimmy and stop and think about, okay, what did I enjoy?
That can be fun though. That can be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, the other side of it is like, man, I look at it as much as I can as a fan, and man, I really love what wrestling's doing, and I've been loving it for a long time, even during some hard crap. So like, let's say Bayley hurt my feelings when she went hugger and went to WWE, and it just stopped working. And she said in her interview,
that was rough.
No, that was hard to see. And then she came out as the heel in Thunderdome and started cracking me up. That was, as a fan, I wanted to see that happen. As a business, I would have been like, pull the plug on her ass. And that's when I learned to be patient. That's when I learned to be really, really patient. We get this crap with Dom Mysterio. But man, you say all these people that learn their craft over time, and out of nowhere, it clicks. I'm like, I want to give it time. Dom has made me upset enough. He got 5 more months. I may give him a year. I don't know. But he's got such a good starting lineup. He's got an offensive line in front of him.
Yeah.
Where he can literally go with that. And I didn't want to see Rey Mysterio and Dom anymore. I feel like it was kind of getting old. I wanted to see something else go on.
Big time getting old.
like how you gonna set up a pay-per-view match with Rey and Dom? And I'm thinking of this as a fan. So if someone's like, well, that brings business or money to it, that's the part that kind of ruins it for me. It's not when I think that way. Sorry, that's a weird way to ask a question.
No, you're good. So before I even dive into that question, I'm going to touch on the Dom Ray thing, because it was going on too long, and it was like, okay, stop. Because I know we're not going to get the match. That's a WrestleMania moment. That's definitely what's going to happen there. And we were talking about this before we went on air, Ray going to SmackDown, and how I said I thought it was handled brilliantly. And I say this because for the last I don't even know how long on Raw, Ray has been eating loss after loss after loss after loss. If it wasn't because Dom was giving him shit after he turned on him, is because he was having to deal with Dom's
inadequacies.
There you go. In the ring, stumbling over words again. Thank you very much. So he's been having to kind of play father to this kid who's been dragging him down. You put him on SmackDown and you put him in a number one contenders title match and he wins it. It just goes to show you, hey, Ray still has it. He's just dealing with some baggage. You take that baggage away from him, Ray can go. And I think they handled it brilliantly. Maybe that's not what their goal was. I don't know. That's what I took it as, and that's why I think it was so good. Back to your question, though. When you're asking, like, it's for business. This is the kind of, I guess, thought process that's helped me appreciate the show as a whole. Because I take myself out of something that I'm not getting, I'm not necessarily liking, and I try to visualize it as, who is this targeted for? Why is it good for the people they're giving it to? Like the Lily doll nonsense. If I didn't have kids, I'd probably be right there with most everybody being like, yo, this is dumb. I don't like it. It wasn't for me. But when I'm watching my kids and my girlfriend's daughter's like, I want a Lily doll. And then she's sitting there watching wrestling with me because of that Lily doll. I'm like, yo, that's the greatest thing in the world to me. It's a business move because that thing made money. And if it's bringing her, she's never watched wrestling before. That Lily doll brought her to the show, and it's why she has favorites like Big E, Bray Wyatt, Alexa Bliss. She has lots of favorites now, and it was all because of that doll. That's a business thing. That might not answer your question, but it's all about like looking at it. Like this is a business move. Okay, why is it a business move? Why should I accept this that they're giving me? Okay, I guess I get it. I can accept it to the point where I'm not hating it. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's not taking up too much of my time. It is what it is.
Well, I'll throw this out there. Okay, a guy who I am completely over and done with is Brock Lesnar. But at the same time, he is money. And if I'm the booker of whatever promotion and I've got a guy like Brock Lesnar who I don't like his work, I don't like him, I can't stand much about the guy, but he puts asses in seats. So I'm going to swallow a lot of pride and words I would like to say to this behemoth who could probably break me in half like that. And I'm going to use him as best I can to draw some money. But I've heard the law of diminishing returns. Eventually, that's going to happen with Brock because people are going to get sick of him, and he's also in his 40s now. I mean, how much, and I said on the show today, he who shan't be named, Gorg, he's turning into that guy for me because he's coming back less and less and less, and it's always for the big payday, for the big show, and I want to see him less each time.
Okay, I got some stuff for that. Ty, if you got anything, you can go ahead and get it now. I'm about to go off on this, man.
No, it's that answered my question. It's just like, how do I psychologically deal with it? And that's why I try to look at it as more of a fan. But that was a great example with the Lily doll.
Yeah. Another one is the Logan Paul thing. Like,
so many eyes on the business.
Yeah, I don't really care for Logan Paul. I do think I think he gets a bad rap because of the shit he did years ago. I think he's taken a second chance and he's done wonders with it. I don't think he's that shithead kid anymore. I don't think he deserves the hate he gets at this point.
And he takes the business seriously. He's not
just take it seriously. If you watch his 2 matches, you're like, okay, this kid actually puts in the work and he's good.
I'm fine with him right now.
If it gets a Logan Paul fan to watch, whether he's
25
or
I think he has over 25 million subscribers to his YouTube channel. He's the number 1 podcast in the world. He's going to promote your show, your business on that thing. And maybe I don't think at this point in time anyone doesn't know what WWE is, but maybe there's those people who don't tune in anymore and they're listening to Logan Paul and they're like, I like Logan Paul. Wait, he's in wrestling? I have to check that out. They tune in and then they're like, hey, this Roman Reigns guy, hey, he's pretty cool. Sami Zayn, that guy's funny as shit. I want to tune in and watch this again. And then maybe, just maybe, you pick up some more viewers that you used to have that tuned out because it went into the dumps, like a lot of people think and say. But now it's like, oh, it's kind of like better now. Maybe I'll just keep watching it to see what happens. And that's why I'm for Logan Paul. And the fact that they're doing this Roman Reigns match, because it's a big money match. It's going to draw a certain fan base. Whether people want to admit it or not, I don't care. It's true. It's going to draw a certain fan base and make money. Putting on a Saudi show is perfect. You're not taking away from the big ones that are they're special to the wrestlers themselves. You're not putting it at WrestleMania, which I would completely be against if it was a WrestleMania. It'd be a terrible decision. Survivor Series, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, I wouldn't even be mad at. To me, it would have made sense to do it there too. But you're not taking away moments in those ones. You're doing it at a Saudi show where some of those guys don't even want to go anyway. So you're not doing anything bad there. And it's one of those situations where I just kind of like, okay, I don't think it's right that he's doing it, but I see why they're doing it. Let's see where it takes me. Maybe I'll actually enjoy it.
I was going to say, if it's good for the business and it makes more eyeballs on it, man, that makes it easier for me to be a wrestling fan. I told someone else, and you know what? They're all like, you watch wrestling? I'm getting sick of hearing that in my neighborhood, man. And, people giving me guff about watching wrestling. And then, like, if Logan Paul can make them watch wrestling, or somebody can buy a Lily doll, and then they'll actually be like, oh, yeah, that's cool. My favorite wrestler is this. And I get to geek out with somebody for the love of wrestling.
Yeah.
Then damn it, good for the business. I'm good for it then.
And one good point with Logan Paul, and this is why I'm starting to think this was a Triple H idea, not a Vince McMahon idea, because wrestling 20, 30 years ago, when they brought in celebrities, who they bring in? Movie stars, TV stars, talk show hosts.
Mike Tyson.
Professional boxers. Who are the new stars of the day?
Podcasters.
Online personalities. Podcasters, Twitchers, Instas, YouTubers,
and who's
UFC.
Who's the biggest of the online personalities? He was like the first and biggest. Logan Paul. So.
Yeah, this is Triple H and I think and WWE realizing, okay, this is not 1999, 2000, 2004 anymore. Yeah. This is 2022, almost 2023. You have got to look at the times you're in, and if you're going to try and get those eyeballs, you're not going to get as many eyeballs with the guy from Big Bang Theory, big TV star. Logan Paul's going to get you more eyeballs.
Yeah, it's the evolution. Like, and WWE has always kind of been ahead of the curve when it comes to things like this. Whether people again want to admit that or not, it's kind of true. Like Vince was talking about doing a
WrestleMania 1.
Yeah,
look at who they brought in.
The WWE Network was a thought Vince McMahon had back in like the late 90s. Like
early to mid 90s. It was when satellite and dish TV started.
That's an insane thought to me, but it's true. And this is just another aspect of that. They pay people to do analytics on these things, so they know what they're doing. And those people they attract are the ones that give Legado del Fantasma such a loud reaction on their debut. What I will say about that is a lot of people come up from NXT and they don't get the reaction that they expect. It's happened several times. I think Legado del Fantasma kind of fizzled out a little bit in NXT from the little bit I watched. Maybe Tidy can correct me there. I don't know. But based on when I was watching, they were a hot act. At least Santos was.
They were a hot act.
Go ahead.
They were a hot act to the end. What Dave's talking about is that he was messaging me about this, was that the fact that they had them masked and then Michael Cole on the commentary. It's like, who is this? Who is this? He's like, it should have been more of like play their music, period, and let them come out unmasked.
No, yeah, they definitely did the debut wrong. I agree 100%.
Yeah, that's what Dave's saying. It was a mess.
But it's also, I think they're kind of, they fizzle. Again, I might be wrong, but when I was watching it, it didn't seem like there was a big of a deal as they were back when I was watching it. It kind of seems like they were just there because they were there and they needed bodies to help put on their show.
Maybe they waited too long to bring him back. Maybe this like month and a half was just a little too long for the LDF fans just sitting there. Is he going to be on SmackDown or Raw? Where is he?
Or a better debut. I didn't like the debut at all. It just didn't work for me. The mask, I didn't get that at all. Wade pretending he didn't know them. Wade worked with. Yeah, that's silly to me. That's a big screw up there. They should have never done that.
Who are these guys? You know who they are, man. It's LDF.
I like this one. Somebody explain why Omos versus Sponge Brawn Red Pants upcoming match. Why do they hate us and give us that? I'll tell you why they give us that. because there are fans who like big men wrestling each other. It's a fact. I always go back to the first time Bobby Lashley and Omos got face to face in the ring. I haven't seen this. I don't see it very often anymore. But the crowd got on their feet because they were excited to see these two big men beat each other down. So this is another Saudi match. I don't care that they're doing it there. It's not going to be anything great. It might be a spectacle that I might be able to enjoy just a little bit, but that's why they're doing it. It's just for a certain fan base. You gotta appease each fan base. That's how you get a bigger show. And I hate to bring AEW into this. They appease one fan base, and that's why it doesn't grow. And if they're fine with that, fine, whatever. Do what you do. I'm not gonna hate on you. That's what you want to do it. But if you want to grow, you have to appease this fan base and this fan base and this fan base and this fan base. And your what's the nickname? The Sponge Brawn Red Pants versus Omos match is for
Clubfoot Strowbeard.
Yes, that's for a certain fan base, and Braun is way more over than I ever thought he was. So yeah. I'll end that with that because
I'm more. I mean, I'm comfy watching Brock and Bobby Lashley because. Yeah, they were
clapping. They was all excited when they got up. Man,
I think Brock and Bobby can have an okay match. Omos and Clubfoot, that thing has potential to be worst match of the year.
Maybe
candidacy. I've tried for a year now to like Omos. I've tried.
Omos isn't ready, but I'll say this: depending on who the producer for this match is. Will tell you how good it's going to be. If you can get a guy who understands...
If they don't take that meatloaf out of the oven, it's going to burn quick because he's been baking for a while.
Nash back there with him. That's all they need to do. That's who was teaching them before. And
yeah, I'd be fine with that.
COVID happened and they stopped. Get Kevin Nash back down there with him to help him.
By the way, if you haven't watched his new podcast with Sean Oliver, it is one of my new go-tos. I could listen to Kevin Nash.
I ain't listening to his nonsense.
Oh.
As a Bobby Lashley fan, I have to say that I like that they're finally getting a finish to Bobby Lashley and Brock.
Yes.
I'm hoping it's a rivalry if you're doing it right. This isn't one squash night. For me, it's huge. So I was happy with it because I've been wanting Brock and Bobby to finally finish what Bobby said years ago. I'm the only one with the tools to, bring down Bobby. And yet Seth stomped his head a couple times or whatever.
I think you're in for a rude awakening.
What? but come on, man.
This comment refreshed my memory because I was supposed to go off on this man. I was watching the podcast earlier. He says, Brock, he repeated himself tonight. Brock can't go in. You crazy man. Brock.
I like them in the ring.
Not you. El Capitan. You talking nonsense on Brock. That man is phenomenal in the ring. I said it. He is phenomenal in the ring. You get him in there with the right opponent. And, bro, the match he puts on is some of the most entertaining matches you are going to see.
His two matches that I've liked. Well, go back to his early era. Him and when he was younger, him and Angle, him and Guerrero.
And on a tractor.
Captain, he's losing it.
This Brock 2.0 that we've gotten, he's had two matches that I've liked.
Beautiful.
I liked his match with Taker, where he broke the streak, even though I didn't like the finish.
It was beautiful.
I liked him and Roman. I liked their SummerSlam match, the most recent one. That was the only one that I really liked.
Okay, what about his matches with all the smaller guys? AJ, Seth,
Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan. What about those matches? Even Ricochet. The match he had with Bray Jr. when Dom.
Well, see, I liked him with Guerrero and Kurt Angle, but I didn't like him with those guys, other than maybe AJ and Seth. But
this is
Angle and Eddie are all timers. I don't know if you could say the same thing about Ricochet. I can possibly
give you. When Brock wants to do his thing, he is fucking great. When he doesn't, he kind of reminds me of Randy Moss. There you go. There's a comparison for you. When Randy Moss wanted to, there's nobody stopping him, and he was giving you a show every single time. But when Randy Moss didn't care, you could tell he didn't care. You can tell the same with Brock. When Brock's in there with someone who he doesn't think is going to make him money, he's like, I don't give a shit. And
I would say more Terrell Owens than Randy Moss.
No, sir. Terrell Owens was a cancer to anything he touched. Randy Moss was only mad when things just weren't going his way. Terrell Owens was a terrible, terrible person.
Oh, boy. We're going off the rails again.
And on a tractor. Let me tell you something.
I've been on a tractor many times in my life, and trust me, it's nothing special.
I would say you didn't see Brock on a tractor because that was one of the greatest things I've seen this year. It was so damn fun. I was like, what's he doing with the track? What's he doing with the ring? It was fantastic. That's kind of what I want to see. It's entertaining AF.
I love the
my favorite ever combination of vehicle and wrestler was Austin and the Zamboni or Eddie and the Lowrider. Those are the 2 times I saw that combination that I really loved it.
Right here. This is another one. His match with Ambrose got awful because he didn't think he could make money with Dean Ambrose, and that's what it was.
There was an interview about that. It's very true. He was not happy about that.
Yeah.
Brock didn't want to work with Dean, is what he said in the Broken Skull sessions. He's like, Brock wouldn't work with me, and I was trying, and Brock's like, no, he did not respect.
Yeah, here you go. This is a factual story here. When we were leaving SummerSlam, there were women saying, I kind of like tractors now. This is a factual statement. Brock
could have sold John Deere.
Did
cross
that.
Promoting.
He don't need an advocate. He got his John Deere.
Well, farming fallacies aside, yes, when Brock wants to work, he can have a better match. I thought him with Heyman made a little bit more sense. It's just, I'm really over Brock at this point, unless he shows me something that he's still got something in the tank that I haven't seen. I could be wrong, but at this point, it's getting very Gorgish to me.
That's what y'all said on
bro. He is way more to put him in the same sentence as Bill Goldberg. I'll say his name. I don't care. Andy's not here to kick me out. Putting him in the same sentence as Goldberg is crazy to me.
Look, man, they said some stuff on Wrestle Buddy, and then I started getting heated listening to it. I was like, they were like Bobby versus Brock, and then Bobby's kind of fizzled out. No, he hasn't. Like, he is not fizzled out. He's simple. He looks ridiculously believable. Just like everybody believes that Roman's going to pull off great talking and character and presence when he walks to that ring. Bobby does that in the ring. Bobby does that with his promos lately. It's like, I can literally take your Adam's apple and rip it out and feed it to you.
I'm glad you brought this up.
I was upset when they said the event versus Brock. That's what he wanted.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was watching the pod and I was like, son of a bitch. I should have been there today to put these people in check.
The one day the cat is away, the mice decide to play.
Man, I've only watched 35 minutes so far. I don't even know what's coming at the end. Apparently, Nick does something that's going to piss me off. I couldn't piss me off any more than the stuff I've already seen. I don't know if I could finish watching it. I was like, okay, I'm listening. I'm like, okay. Then someone says something like, you son of a bitch. I need to get in there and choke him out. And then we got Captain. This man... the hate on this man is crazy. It's crazy. And then who was saying,
hey, he's got a great career ahead of him with John Deere.
They were saying Bobby was better with MVP and this and that. And there has to be a time when you have to step away out of that shadow, man. And I think it was just right. And some were giving credit. You think about the match he's had with Seth, with Riddle, with AJ or whatever, all these matches they brought up with Theory, what was the other one, Ciampa? And they were like, nah, man, he's done some great work and this and this and that. I just think they're looking back at MVP as a mouthpiece and how much better that was. But no, I like
stuck in the past. In my personal opinion, I think Bobby Lashley has done some of the best work of his career the latter half of this year.
I think they went promo entertainment is what they're talking about. Like, they missed the promo entertainment thing. But I don't want Bobby as a bad guy.
Do we need promos to hype up Brock versus Bobby? Really?
No. They're going to whoop. Oh, my God, it's going to be so good.
These are two big men, meaty men slapping meat. That's all we need to see. Just have them just rip each other to shreds. I don't need promos from them. Make it short and simple if you want to. Farmer Brock can tip his hat and say some funny shit. because that's what he likes to do from time to time. And I'm so just have them give me a match that wasn't the Royal Rumble. That's all I want.
Thank you.
That's all I want.
I did love that WWE was trying to bleep the crowd and then Brock just let one fly. That to me was I sat up and applauded when that happened, because that is Brock saying, get rid of this friggin' TV PG nonsense. TV 14, TV MA. We're not children.
What? I mean, I was watching something the other day, and I'm trying to remember what it was for the life of me. And it might have been you guys talking about TV 14 or something else. No, it was the Tiny Tina game, and how they got like sexual innuendos over and certain jokes over, but they had to be like PG for kids or whatever. Yeah. And somehow they did that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe wrestling can do a little bit more of that until they get the TV 14.
I'll tell you what
I know it's possible.
I'll tell you what I think was done really well on Raw with TV 14 stuff is I don't think they need to go TV 14. I don't think they need to do it at this point. I think they got enough going for them where they don't need to do it. I just don't. The opening segment of Raw where DX was getting bleeped out every other word, that works.
Hey, Captain.
Because
look at
Captain, you were 100% right. What they did 25 years ago is not going to work today. And it has nothing to do with TV 14. It's just because it's a tired shtick that's been played out. It's not going to work. You got to evolve. That's why instead of saying suck it these days, we're saying scissor me daddy ass. You got to evolve. What WWE did by just having DX come in there trying to do their same shtick, and they're like, it doesn't work, bleep, 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 bleeping everything out, I thought was great. If that would have been the end of them on that night, I'd have been happy. I didn't like seeing him in the main event just like you, but I do get why they did it. Not my cup.
Okay, at least you're with me. At least you're with me on the main event.
I had to do one of those things like tidy ass, the business thing. I had to remove myself, ask myself why they're doing it, and it made sense. I
thought the same thing.
Not my thing.
It got no one over but them. It didn't get the promotion over. It didn't get any new talent over. It was them out there circle jerking for 8 minutes.
No, they did get people over because anybody who tuned in to watch DX on this anniversary and stayed to watch the whole show, if anybody watched it and said, you know what, I like this guy because they tuned in to watch DX, DX got that person over.
It was in the midterm, like in the middle. They did
a segment with somebody, but that's not even my point. Like if my buddy Jared, if you're watching, what's up, man? He doesn't really watch wrestling that much. He's been watching a little bit more lately because Triple H took over. He's the kind of person that's going to tune in when he sees a DX special because he grew up watching DX. So if he tunes in to watch DX and then he sees Austin Theory in a match and he goes, you know what, I kind of like this kid. DX just got Austin Theory over with my buddy Jared because he tuned in to watch DX, but then now he likes Austin Theory and he might tune in again to watch more Austin Theory. That's my whole thing with they did get people over if it worked to that extent, which I can't imagine it didn't at least get one person to be like, oh, I like that.
A couple, I hope, yeah.
But the algorithm is choking the shit out of me right now. You way overdue. It's 8 minutes past the hour, going on 9 minutes. So I'm gonna have to cut the show. It's unfortunate. I didn't think this was even gonna go an hour, and we went over an hour. So that's good. That means
I'll save my big theory that I've got for you guys on the next one. If this next week isn't too just huge news wise.
All right. We will try to return back to the original format, but now that we have a third man, it might be a little bit different. But focusing on our favorite stuff of the week and not just topics like Bloodline, even though I'm not mad at all talking about Bloodline and Bray Wyatt because they're two of the absolute best things in wrestling. No, they are the two best things in wrestling.
So I have become Hogan. I'm the third man.
You are the third man. He's Hogan. I'm Scott Hall. If you think anything other than that, you can just turn the shit off. I don't want you.
Jimmy's number one. We're the biggest twos, my dog.
Bro, and to the person who he's probably not watching this, but it's too funny to not.
Logan Paul may be a table, but he's a number 2 table.
Someone commented on my Bloodline short, and they said the Bloodline is the most overpushed faction, and he hates them. To which I replied, "That's because you're the 2s and they the 1s." This man replied to me, "Well, you're the 3s," and I just wanted to know. I have never been insulted so badly in my life. And I hope you have a terrible breakfast in the morning, sir.
I had the 3s once, but it was after a Taco Bell binge.
I like this. Well, get used to it, man. That's what we're gonna be doing from now on. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. That's the show. Make sure you tune into the Raw recap, because I hear there's like this crazy special thing that's gonna happen. You'll have to tune in and watch. And I think the Buddy Wars voting is officially over with, so it will be El Capitan that is getting served on a silver plate to this guy, in which he will be eviscerated faster than Zayn and Maddie. I promise you that. Stay on the lookout. I got some stuff for this, man. I got it. But definitely watch the Raw recap. I got something special for you guys tomorrow. With that, if you want to plug anything, Tidy, I don't know if you got anything to plug, but you're more than willing to do so now. Take the time to plug something for someone else if you want to. Be that guy if you want.
Wrestle Buddy in general, the weekly recap, Raw recap, Nick, his SmackDown recap. I've always loved the way all you guys think, analytical to business side or whatever. I barely even disagree with most of the stuff because it always just makes sense. And they usually, just like this, they have a format to where it could be a topic that's very short and Andy moves on to the next thing, but they all kind of, through the conversation, come to enlightenment. And it's like, yeah, that must be true. And a lot of things they said did kind of come to pass. So it's just good wrestling talk to get to a good conclusion per topic, per detail. I've always loved them. I love them on Twitter, man. There's where I geek out.
That's another thing that made me mad on the podcast today. Nobody gave me my flowers for getting shit right. I'm being disrespected. The conspiracy's freaking real. I just got this guy commenting talking about Sammy's not even a Samoan, he's a Canadian. Pay attention to the damn story.
Sammy Uso, they said it.
Honorary Uso. You know how many times I've had to tell people that he's the honorary Uso? Shut your mouth, people. Captain, plug it. If you ever watch Captain's Table, you should watch that because that was very fun and entertaining as well. But
new
now
episode coming up this Saturday, episode 9 of the Captain's Table on Saturday, and then on Sunday it's the premiere of our new show on Wrestle Buddy with me and Chinwag Dan, who booked this shit, as we go back and watch some of the worst in the history of pro wrestling. We've got about 20 matches that we are going to try and get through over the course of about 10 episodes. This isn't going to be like the table where we just sit and watch the best of the best and remark about how great this work was and how great the characters and how much we love this. No, this is the dreck. This is the garbage. This is the, type of stuff you find when, Jimmy's booking your show. Really awful things.
That's why I'm in the finals, baby.
And we're going to be starting out, actually, the first 2 matches we're going to be covering is going to be Ultimate Warrior and Undertaker, the infamous body bag match, and the 1991 Halloween Havoc Chamber of Horrors.
That's a fantastic match. What are y'all doing with that, man?
Think TNA electrified cage, but worse.
Better.
Banger after banger after banger.
Yes, you did, and I appreciate it, David. You'll be back to your regularly scheduled program tomorrow by shitting all over me. I just feel it all. And guess what? Guess who's not going to be on Captain's Table this weekend? Oh, Jimmy Baby. Why do you think that is? Because he can't handle me right. Because he knows I'm going to fucking murder his ass on Buddy Wars next Monday. He knows it. He's like, you can't come on my show this week.
You're going to Orlando to do a wedding or something.
We are mortal enemies right now, and I will not stop until he is put into the ground. You have no doubt. I don't have any doubt either.
Ain't no grave going to hold this body down.
I tried to end this show 3 minutes ago, and we're still going. So I'm going to stop right now. I'm just going to end it. So goodbye, everybody. Boom. All that good fancy stuff. And I will see you for the Raw recap tomorrow. Don't forget, special surprise. Oh, I got to hit this button twice every time I know.